one. We should all have
Right.
one,
Raise your
right?
hand.
Um, but do you know that they're not all built on the same tech? And depending on the infrastructure that they're built on, they're going to work differently inside your ecosystem, right? Do you, if you have, if you're in this vision that you want to go to agentic, we've all been talking about agentic, the coolest thing in the planet, right? We're suddenly going to have these bots, they're going to take actions for us and et cetera. But it doesn't just work that way, right? You have to have a tool that actually allows for actions to be taken in it,
Right.
right?
The dots have to be connected. You can't just have the front end in the machine and not the back end operating.
That's right. You can't just suddenly go, "Oh, this is fabulous. This machine, this thing's immediately going to take some generative content from me and immediately pump out and do all of my work for me." It does not work that way. You have to have really three levels
Yeah,
of
let's get
coding.
into these three levels. Let's lift up the hood of this Ferrari and understand what are those three things,
Okay.
layers that need to work together. What are those three tech elements that need to work together?
So at its root and foundation, everything works off of data. Data in, data out. You
Garbage
have
in, garbage out.
to garbage in, garbage out. You have to have a good data layer, and that means your data has to connect to each other. Fundamentally, here's the difference though, is we're evolving our tech solutions. When we used to hear the question data layer, we used to have all these conversations about how am I going to get that data to talk to each other? How am I going to normalize that data? How am I going to make sure that that data is understandable across multiple systems? That's always been the challenge with integrations and et cetera. So here's the good news I can tell everybody. As we're evolving from a tech story, you no longer have to worry so much about your data being structured in very specific ways or normalizing that data in very specific ways. That's where these new technologies like generative AI and LLMs are going to help you leverage that data layer in a much easier way. So that's the good news, but you still need it. So you still have to have data coming in. You still have to get the
Mm-hmm.
information. Then the second thing you need is you need a way to take action against that data, meaning you need to have workflow automations. You need to have the ability to trigger actions in purposeful ways to support your process, right? So again, that's kind of going to that middle layer that says, I've got my data, and then in the middle, I have to have the thing that allows me to take actions against that data, right? So that is automation, triggering automation workflows, and et cetera. And then the top layer is the glossy layer that we all see
Mm.
and we think is the thing that's going to be the nirvana. And by the way, it is useful. That's the experience layer. That's the thing that I interact with, right? So when you go into Chat GPT today, you're all looking, most of us are looking at the experience layer, meaning I can go in and ask a question and it does some stuff. I don't know what it's doing back out there, right? But Chat GPT isn't just uniformly just taking your information and digesting it.
No, you have to give it action. You have to give it commands.
That's right. And it takes those commands. Those commands only work if it has the automation trigger to execute those commands. And then it has to be tied into those data sources.